The story begins by introducing Rian, a boy who is terrified of making mistakes and constantly strives for perfection in everything he does. Rian grows up in an environment where expectations seem to perpetually weigh heavily on his shoulders. From studying and playing sports to the smallest daily activities, he sets sky-high standards for himself, allowing no room for error. His fear of failure doesn't just stem from within him, but is also fueled by the subtle pressure from his family and friends, who frequently praise his meticulousness and talent. However, this obsession with perfection gradually makes Rian more withdrawn, hesitant to challenge himself with new experiences, as he dreads not being able to excel right from the start. His life appears trapped in a repetitive cycle of safety and control. But will his journey take a turn when he encounters a situation that forces him to confront his mistakes and learn to grow from them? Rian's story offers a profound perspective on the psychology of young people in modern society, shedding light on the struggles of those who grapple with the unrelenting pursuit of flawlessness in a world that often demands it. Rian's fear acts as an invisible barrier, holding him back from exploring new opportunities, joining competitions, or acquiring new skills. To him, mistakes are not just simple missteps. They're deeply tied to feelings of failure and embarrassment, which he dreads more than anything. This mindset keeps him rooted in his comfort zone, where the risk of stumbling is minimal and the outcomes are predictable. The idea of stepping into the unknown, whether it's a sports contest, a creative endeavor, or even a new hobby, fills him with anxiety as he imagines the judgmental eyes of others watching his every move. For Rian, perfection isn't just a goal. It's a shield he uses to protect himself from criticism and shame. As a result, he misses out on experiences that could broaden his horizons or bring him joy, choosing instead the safety of routine over the uncertainty of growth. This self-imposed limitation highlights the paralyzing effect of his fear, raising the question of whether he will ever find the courage to break free and embrace the messy, imperfect process of learning and living. During a lecture, a visiting professor shares a compelling story about two painters, Rugov and Vihan, to demonstrate the profound importance of mistakes. Rugov, a bold and adventurous artist, views errors not as setbacks, but as unexpected chances to spark creativity. When his brush slips or colors blend in unintended ways, he adapts, turning these imperfections into unique masterpieces that captivate viewers with their originality. His willingness to embrace the unpredictable allows him to grow, experiment, and thrive as an artist. In contrast, Vihan, paralyzed by his fear of imperfection, approaches his canvas with rigid caution. Every stroke is calculated, every decision agonizingly weighed, as he strives to avoid even the slightest flaw. But this obsession with flawlessness stifles his creativity, leaving his work lifeless and uninspired. Eventually, Vihan's unrelenting pursuit of perfection leads to his downfall. He abandons painting altogether, unable to reconcile his vision with the inevitable reality of human error. Through this tale, the professor underscores a powerful lesson. Mistakes, far from being failures, can be the seeds of innovation and growth, while the fear of them can trap someone in a cycle of stagnation and regret. The king, reflecting on the professor's story, steps forward to share his own wisdom with Rian and the gathered crowd. He declares that the true beauty of both art and life lies not in flawless execution, but in the imperfections that give them character and depth. He compares a perfect painting to a sterile, lifeless object. Technically impressive, perhaps, but lacking the soul that comes from unexpected flaws and quirks. In life, too, he insists, it is the stumbles, the scars, and the missteps that shape a person into someone unique and resilient. Turning to Rian, the king warns that the fear of making mistakes can become a prison, locking away one's potential behind bars of doubt and hesitation. He urges the boy to see that true greatness doesn't come from avoiding errors, but from daring to act despite them, learning and growing with each imperfect step. The king's words resonate deeply, offering Rian a new lens through which to view his struggles. a perspective that celebrates the messy, imperfect journey over the unattainable ideal of perfection. Rian retreats into quiet contemplation after hearing the professor's tale of Rugov and Vian, his mind swirling with thoughts about his own paralyzing fear of mistakes. The contrast between the two painters lingers, Rugov's fearless creativity versus Vihan's stifling perfectionism, mirroring the battle within himself. Feeling a flicker of hope, Rian decides to seek guidance from his father, a man whose steady presence has always grounded him. Sitting together, Rian pours out his doubts, admitting how his dread of failure has kept him from chasing dreams or taking risks. His father listens patiently, then smiles warmly, sharing a simple yet profound truth. Mistakes are not something to fear, but valuable lessons in disguise. He recounts his own missteps, times he faltered in work or stumbled as a parent, and explains how each one taught him patience, resilience, and wisdom he couldn't have gained otherwise. Perfection's an illusion, his father says, but growth is real, and it comes through the cracks of our errors. Bolstered by this reassurance, Rian begins to see his fear in a new light, wondering if he, too, could find strength in the imperfections he spent so long running from. Inspired by the professor's story, the king's wisdom, and his father's encouragement, Rian resolves to shift his mindset and break free from the chains of perfectionism. He takes a bold first step by signing up for a local quiz, a challenge he'd avoided before out of fear of giving wrong answers in front of others. During the quiz, he stumbles on a few questions, but instead of shrinking in embarrassment, he feels a strange thrill. Each mistake becomes a clue to something new he can learn. Next, Rian dusts off an old bicycle he'd never mastered, determined to teach himself to cycle. His initial wobbles and falls bruise his knees, but they also spark laughter and a growing sense of. Years later, Rian stands as a successful entrepreneur, his name synonymous with innovation and resilience in a competitive world. Reflecting on his journey, he often credits his achievements not to flawless execution, but to the lessons carved from his countless mistakes. The quiz he once hesitated to join taught him the value of quick thinking and adaptability, skills he now uses to navigate unpredictable markets. Those early tumbles while learning to cycle instilled in him perseverance and the courage to keep going despite setbacks, traits that carried him through failed ventures and tough business decisions. Rian built his company on a philosophy that embraces imperfection, encouraging his team to experiment boldly, knowing that missteps often lead to breakthroughs. At conferences and in interviews, he shares how his shift in mindset, seeing mistakes as opportunities rather than failures, unlocked his potential and fueled his success. To Rian, each stumble was a teacher, each error a stepping stone, transforming him from a boy paralyzed by fear into a visionary leader who inspires others to embrace their own imperfect paths. His story becomes a testament to the power of learning through life's inevitable flaws.